And welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Daily. I am Jacob Albracht alongside Rick Regan today. Rocking Rick in for Tommy today. Glad to have him in again. Glad to have him as part of the Sports Daily family. Jad Chambers producing, manning that IHOP hotline for us. It is the IHOP hotline brought to you by IHOP. Get in there. Check out all the great pancake selections. 869-1240 is that number to call. We've got some other giveaways today, some really fun giveaways. Nick Swartzen, comedian. He's got a show coming up. We've got your chance to get tickets there. We also have your chance to win HTO, and we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to begin a text to win program. We'll get you those details a little later in the show, so don't miss that. But a new way to enter contest and win contest with us here at Sports Daily, a little more inclusive to those folks who can't get on the horn and call us now. We can do a text to win, so be ready for that. We'll get you all those details in just a little bit throughout the show here. We will be reviewing the Royals weekend and looking ahead to what becomes clearly the biggest series of their season, which begins tomorrow after a much-needed day off for them today. So we'll get into all things Royals. K-State baseball. K-State baseball's on to the Super Regionals. Don't look now. So we get a team of local interest in the College World Series continuing at least on to that path. And so that's been fun to keep up with. We got Corn Ferry coming up in a couple of weeks that we'll preview a little bit as well. Caitlin Clark continues to be must-see TV for all kinds of different reasons. You know, career best day followed by career worst day, and she's getting hip checked, and it's everything the WNBA wants it to be, I think. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Rick's got some thoughts on the kicking situation for the Chiefs, which has been in the news with the new kickoff rules and how they might handle that, and some of the things that they're looking at and finding out with what will be sort of new territory for all of us with the NFL kickoffs and the league's perhaps top wide receiver, at least in the conversation for most people. I feel like think he is Justin Jefferson. Just in the last 10 minutes or so, gets his new contract. What does that mean for everybody else? We'll get into all of it today on Sports Daily. Again, your calls on the IHOP hotline, 869-1240. Rick, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jacob. How are you? I am fantastic. Long weekend, rainy Monday morning, but ready to hang for a bit. You're good?
Yeah, it is. Rainy's right. That thing, it wasn't even a thunderstorm. Whatever it was, though, it was like keeping me up all night. I was like, man, but it's been a while since we've had some good rain in this part of the world. So, and we'll fill up the wells, hopefully, and get lake levels back where they need to be. We'll always welcome the rain, and always appreciate that rain.
Yeah, for us, it was the quivering puppy. The thunderstorms, the shaking dog.
Oh, so you've got our dogs. Our dogs don't care. We have a dog and a cat, and neither of them care at all. They don't care about thunderstorms. They don't care about, fireworks. And there was a little hail, I think, last night too. That's probably what kept us up. But, it was, they don't care. They're just like, whatever. They kind of do the same. They just, they give it the old, just like, look, one eye open, like look up, and they're like, what's that? Whatever. I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. Our little Vinny's a barometer. Like we know an hour in advance. Go get the cushions off the porch. It's going to storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause he's freaking out.
He's excellent at that.
But we'll take the rain. We'll take the rain. And, I know it's Riverfest, and I know we got a lot going on. So hopefully we get some sunshine and everything for all the events coming through here. But, Riverfest without rain wouldn't be Riverfest, would it? All right, let's dig into the Chiefs a little bit, Rick. So not a good weekend. I mean, they salvaged the series finale yesterday with some fireworks, and you hope that, the way in which they won it perhaps can be a little bit of a lightning rod. They come back in the ninth inning to get the win. They score 3 runs in the ninth. It was Velasquez and Lofton with the fireworks late, but they're reeling a little bit here. It just doesn't feel quite right. Reagan's was good. Reagan's, 1 run in 6 innings. Bullpen let him down again, and this time it was Zerpa, who had been probably their most consistent reliever. So the bullpen continues to plague them a little bit. And they get the news that, Michael Wacha's got to go to the DL. The one thing the Royals have avoided this year, for the most part, is a significant injury. Now they send one of these great starters down to the injury list, and we have to see if Daniel Lynch can come up and, kind of tread water until Wacha comes back. You hope he's okay and everything's good with Wacha. But, in the meantime, it's going to have to be Lynch, and it's going to be his chance. And he's been good in his appearances so far in the big leagues this year, but they got to have it. And it comes at a critical time because Lynch is going to have to pitch in this Cleveland series, most likely. And that series looms. You're 4 games back now of the Guardians. And we talked about the fear here. You're 4 games back now. Well, you can't let that be 7. It's, the good thing in 3 head-to-head is you're either going to gain 1 game, lose 1 game, or gain 3 or lose 3. Like, there's not much in between. You can't look at this series and be 7 games back. Rick, I don't even know if you want to look at it and be 5 games back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when
they
they just ran into the hot Padres. I mean, they were hitting the ball. They had a lot of guys at the plate. It was a tough weekend. It was nice to see them come back in the 9th. I wish they could start coming back in the 3rd and hold a lead instead of chasing one every single game, it seems like.
Yeah, it's not even – look, I know the Padres are good, and so are the Twins. But, you get into it, and you've lost a bunch of games here. Like, you've lost you lost 3 or 4 to Minnesota, and you lost 2 or 3 to the Padres. Now you're looking at a stretch where you've lost 6 out of your last 8 games after you lost the series finale to Tampa. Those are the kind of stretches, like, those can't last very long. And it just so happens that this one is going into your biggest series of the year on the road. And, I think we're seeing things within the streak that are concerning. One of our, viewers to our video streams, which, by the way, you can find on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And I'll get that reposted out on X. Sorry, right now. But what somebody brought up was the bullpen, which right out of the gates this year looked really bad, right? And then it sort of settled in a little bit. And now it's kind of wavering again. And it's like, okay, is this bullpen going to be good enough? For a little while, we thought maybe it could be. I'm not so sure I think that now. And so, it's these starters can be great, but if you can get through the 6th inning and then just kind of get knocked around a little bit every time, that's not going to work either. So they've got some things to figure out, but they don't, you can't count on taking that time to figure it out, especially when you're head to head against the team right now in Cleveland. I mean, can you imagine if this series goes sideways and they're 7 games back of the Guardians? Like that's not good.
They can't lose their spot. I mean,
you can. I don't want to sit here and say they've got to win 2 out of 3 because on the road, 2 out of 3 to one of the better teams in baseball this year, that's probably not fair. But you can't lose 3 out of 3. You got to at least get one of these games to keep it within 5 games. You'd like to get 2 to shrink it down to 3 games. You do get Lugo. And so it pretty much becomes tomorrow. And we'll talk more about the game specifically tomorrow. But in that game with Lugo on the mound, it's like you got to have the Lugo game. Because then the worst that can happen to you is you can get to 5. You started at 4, you get to 5. You're probably okay with that. Boy, if you don't get that Lugo game, though, and now you've got Brady Singer and Daniel Lynch on the hook to try and get those wins, at least one of them. I just don't want to see this team press. Like, this team feels to me like a team that's playing loose is playing its best. I'm not, there's not a ton of veterans or anything like that. I don't want to see this team have to press. And when you're facing the Guardians head to head while you're reeling a little bit, like all these things going into this, that can make you press a little bit. And I'm glad they get this day off to sort of regroup and resettle because it's been a while since they've had one. But this is the most tense moment of this Royals season. I don't think there's any doubt about that. This is kind of this time. You had a bad injury you got to deal with. You're reeling a little bit. Like, all of these things are happening, and you get this series where it is against who it's against. And it's a pretty big time pressure series for the Royals, and we'll see how they respond to it. They didn't respond well to the Minnesota series, so now they got another chance to do it.
Well, you got to hope that the way that game ended last night, yesterday afternoon, that puts them on an uptick.
And it could.
Hey,
I think
all right,
it could.
let's go. We did good last night.
They've got a little of that, though. They've got a little of that. I think that this is a team that definitely is going to play through the 9th inning. They've made noise late in games all year long. So that's a good sign. But, yeah, you'd like to see – I mean, look, it's always going to start with your 2 MVP candidates in Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. Like, there are games that those guys can carry you through single-handedly. You hope it's now. Cleveland's starting pitching that you're going up against hasn't been lights out by any means. Probably, Rick, this series and how it goes will depend, I would imagine, before it starts, if we're being predictive, will predicate itself on how the bullpen pitches. I think Kansas City has a clear advantage in starting pitching, at least on paper to start this series. Now, Daniel Lynch probably is not fair, but at least in 2 of the games, you'd give the advantage there to Kansas City. So then, okay, but Cleveland's really good, and they haven't had lights out starting pitching. Why is that? Probably because their offense is relentless and their bullpen's been awesome. So, can you get up early on them, and can that bullpen hold a lead? I would venture to guess that the bullpen will tell the story of this series, the bullpen for Kansas City. Can they have a respectable series here against a team that, Cleveland's always in it lately. They've been one of the more successful franchises in the last decade or so, especially of the small market. So it shouldn't surprise us that they're there, but I think we're foolish if we keep waiting for them to fall back down to earth. I'm not sure that's going to happen. And so you got to be able to run them down. But I would look at the bullpen and say, if the bullpen pitches well in this series, Kansas City's probably going to take 2 or 3. But the bullpen pitches the way it's been pitching, and it's usually one leaky, one loose screw in that bullpen, and it unravels, that it could be a rough series. And the spotlight's clearly on that group to me in this series coming up.
So Cleveland, they played Washington, I think, and lost. Maybe they're on a little downtick. Maybe the Royals can come on a little.
That's a good point. The timing has been a little bit fortuitous. We just kept waiting for Kansas City to be able to make up ground. And Cleveland, I wouldn't say they're on a rough patch like Kansas City is, but they're not taking full advantage, I wouldn't say, of Kansas City's struggles. So they right now have, they've won 3, they've lost 3. So they're 500 over their last 6 games. Now, those have been against Colorado and Washington, right? So they have, and they played the Angels before that, and they played the Mets before that, but they also swept Minnesota. And so, yeah, they have played a softer portion of their schedule for sure since May 20th. So their last 4 series, Mets, Angels, Rockies, Nats. That matters, and it's a good point. But they also, you've got it. This is your first opportunity against them if you're the Royals head-to-head this year, which is wild, but that's the way it is. And you don't get as many chances head-to-head against these teams anymore as you used to, the way they're changing up the schedule. Kansas City will play Cleveland, I believe, in 4 series this year, 2 home, 2 road. And so you have to the games are just critically important that you're going to play head to head now in the division. And we'll see how the dust settles on this. But logic tells me, with fewer opportunities to play these teams, it makes each of these games, especially among contenders, that much more critical. I would imagine if we look back on division winners in tight races, there aren't going to be very many situations where, if it's a tight race at the top of a division, that the team that fared better head to head was the team that ended up on top of those tight races. They're just so dang important. And yeah, the Royals have played a really tough schedule, and schedule matters. And you've had series now. It's been a while. So as we talked about those 4 series Cleveland's played against, not upper echelon teams, Kansas City's had Detroit, Tampa, Minnesota, and San Diego. So they have had it. And now they get Cleveland. And then guess what? They get Seattle and the Yankees and the Dodgers after that. Rick, this could go sideways quickly. June, the Royals are going to be battle tested in June. They open June and they finished up with San Diego, so we'll call it that. Their opening to their June schedule is Padres, Guardians, Mariners, Yankees, Dodgers. Go look at those teams' records. And then they finish June with another series against Cleveland. Mixed in there is Oakland, Texas, and Miami. There ain't a lot of easy things on the schedule this month. And we've talked about the urgency to go add for this team aggressively quickly. You want another reason? Because the June schedule is brutal.
Yeah, and the Mariners are coming to town hot too.
Oh, the Mariners are really good. I love the Royals rotation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sure the Mariners don't have my favorite rotation in baseball. Just young, electric arms that are really, really good. Dodgers, Yankees, Mariners, Guardians. That's it. And how many days off do they get in this stretch? So after tomorrow, let's just look at that. They do not get another day off. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't get another day off. So after today, you're going to play 13 games in 13 days. Cleveland, Seattle, Yankees, Dodgers. Woo!
Get out the rally caps.
You're 4 games back of Cleveland now. Okay. Again, more emphasis on this series in particular. You're playing Cleveland now. You got to go to their place. Like, it's going to be tough if they can't take 2 or 3. And that's a big ask. That's a big ask because the rest let me pull up what Cleveland has in that June stretch we were just talking about. So after this, they get at Miami, at Cincinnati, at Toronto. So they play a really long road stretch, and then they get Seattle as well.
Yeah, everybody at the bottom of their division.
And then their schedule starts to toughen up a little bit at that point, too.
Who'd you say they play? They play Cincinnati, they play Miami, and who else?
Toronto and Seattle.
Yeah, 3 teams at the bottom of their division. Right? Toronto's at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it is not the gauntlet that it is not the gauntlet
the Royals
that the Chiefs have because they've got the Yankees and the Dodgers mixed in there. I mean, that's, so you're looking at that. But Cincinnati's not, they're at the bottom of the division. I don't think Cincinnati's necessarily a bad team. Miami's not good. But it ain't anything close to what the Royals have. So you're looking at the next 20 days here. And there's absolutely a path where this spirals out of control on Kansas City. And now your back's against the wall. I mean, it could all change. We kept saying June 1st is a real evaluation tool, and maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe it needed to be June 20th because I hadn't looked until, but pretty much right now, what comes after Cleveland, because we've all been so laser focused on Cleveland. Finally, they get to play Cleveland. Let's get this Cleveland series. It is brutal after that for the Royals. And there will be a point in their schedule. At the beginning of the year, we looked at it. It'll soften up a little bit, but it hasn't been easy so far, which makes what they're doing even that much better. But you lose Waka. This is a make or break moment a little bit for the Royals here. Like you'd love to get out of this stretch of how many games we said that was 16 at 500. I think you're going to feel great about yourself, but you'd love even more if some of those and most of those came in this Cleveland series. If you can get if they do something special like sweep Cleveland at Cleveland, it'll change everything. It'll change everything because then now at that point, you're a game back of the Guardians, right? You're just a game back. And then you go into that gauntlet and, what's a worst case scenario there out of those next games? You fall back to 6 games back probably, which you can deal with that over time. But what you can't deal with is being, 10 games back in early June. That because Minnesota's coming too, by the way. Minnesota's going to be there.
They're right there
Don't
now.
Count out Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Like they're not going away either. They're only 2 games back of the Royals. They're probably just as, CBS Sports uses one of its analytics tools to project division winners, and Cleveland's the clear favorite, but they give Minnesota a 4 times better chance almost to win the division and a 2.5 times better chance to make a playoff spot than the Royals right now. So the Royals' backs are against the wall as much as it has been all season for sure. And we'll see what they do with it. Big opportunity. You got Lugo coming tomorrow. One more on that series as we make our way through. So let's set up this text giveaway. So here's how this is going to work. So we will get a text giveaway here. And all you do is you can text a keyword to our short code. Let's start this with HTO. So we're going to give away some HTO as we always do. This campaign, we're going to give away some iced tea. We're going to have 5 winners here. We're going to give away some iced tea, and Jad will handle this for us. So HTO, iced tea available for you in East or West Wichita or in Derby. Some coffee available there too. All you got to do right now to win some free drinks on us here is text the keyword T, that's TEA, T, to this short code, 20357. So if you're listening in right now, just text the word T to 20357. You can enter 1 time per day. Good luck on those entries. We'll see how that goes. And then we'll have another entry for you for a comedy show coming up later. So again, 20357. Just text the word T to win some free HTO. Good luck, everybody. We'll come back. More Sports Daily right after this.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily here on KFH. Jacob Albracht, Rick Regan with you. Rockin' Rick in for Tommy today. Glad to have him in.
What up?
Glad to have you guys with us, whether you're listening to us on KFH, kfhradio.com. You can go to the live stream there. You can also watch us. We're on the KFH X, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Two good-looking dudes here taking you through a Monday.
Where the camera's extremely too close.
It's right up on you, right up in your grill here.
That's what I need. You're a TV guy. You're
that's
already
right.
You're already pretty enough for television. I've been in radio for 30 years. Please, slowly back away from the camera.
People telling me I got a face for radio all the time, Rick.
You're a very pretty man.
Here, how about this? I got a voice for TV. I don't have my nice baritone. Look, some of the.
I don't know. I think you've got a beautiful face.
Some of the great voices you hear over time. We've been taking you through the Royals. You can give us your comments there. The cool thing about the video stream is, by the way, if you're watching and you want to get in touch with us, but maybe you're not in a position to call us or do whatever, you can just leave your comments there wherever it is you're watching that video stream. It feeds those right to us. We take those out over the air. We can get those that way too. Always appreciate our great commenters there as well here on Sports Daily. All right, so the breaking news here, and we've got other things. We'll talk about Caitlin Clark because I think she is doing exactly what the WNBA would want her to do. We'll talk about maybe a little bit look ahead at the Corn Ferry from Rick's perspective. But the first thing here, because this broke right before we came on the air, Rick, is Justin Jefferson's deal. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to be bigger than the others, but it now becomes the highest paid. He becomes the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. I don't think that's terribly surprising, but it happened, and it's jarring when you see it. A 4-year extension, $140 million. The big number that matters is 110 of that is guaranteed.
Isn't that crazy? They have to give him they give him $88 million when he signs. That's what he's doing.
Yep.
He sits down and signs a piece of paper and gets $88 million.
He's taken a lot of it up front. It's an interesting strategy on that, and I'm not a cap guy. Like, I'm not a cap aficionado, but I see that and I read that and I hear that this morning, and I'm like, well, I get it, right? You've got a rookie quarterback now. You're not going to have to pay him for a little while. So if you don't have to pay him for a little while, maybe this helps you avoid that. Give Jefferson the money now while you don't have to pay the quarterback and see it. I get it. It makes some sense to me. Again, without knowing the intricacies of all of it, because I'm not a cap guy, but I do think that makes some sense to think of it that way. And look, Jefferson, through his first 4 years in the league, most receiving yards, most 100-yard games. He is clearly, if not the top guy, he's one of the top guys, one of the 2 or 3. And Minnesota's, they didn't have a choice, Rick. They can't let him go, or can they? And that's the age-old debate here. The Chiefs made their choice to not sign Tyreek Hill to, at the time, the big deal, right? The Packers made the choice not to do that with Devontae Adams. And both of those guys were considered at least in the top handful of guys, and they let them go. And I would say in both of those scenarios, the franchise is probably better for it. But I also don't think you can look at every situation the same way. I don't think Minnesota can let Justin Jefferson go, especially now with a rookie quarterback. If you want your rookie quarterback to be as successful as he can be, which should always be the top priority in the NFL, then you need Justin Jefferson there to help him be that. And so I think, talking about Tyreek Hill and how the Chiefs let him go versus how the Vikings caved and made Jefferson, I think that's hard to do because Patrick Mahomes plays for one of those teams, was a veteran, and also had Travis Kelce. It was much easier for the Chiefs to watch Tyreek Hill walk than it would be for the Vikings to watch Justin Jefferson walk. So even knowing that there have been teams successful that have made the decision not to do the big-time contracts for receivers, I do think the Vikings made the right move today by getting this done.
What wide receiver that's been paid $1 bazillion like this has really been worth it? Is Tyreek Hill worth it? I mean,
well, yeah.
the Chiefs,
his production, his production is there, but the Dolphins haven't been able to get over the hump. So it's like, which one is it, right? I get what you're saying. And it's the age-old debate. Can you win a Super Bowl paying top-end receivers? Mike Evans was, I think, pretty highly compensated at the time the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl.
And he's another free agent, isn't he? He's a free agent.
Yeah, he re-signed, I believe. Let me look at the receiver list because we've done this before. So the highest paid guys right now, AJ Brown, obviously got it done, right? AJ Brown is a good example of paying a guy and getting it done. Or did they get it? Did he? No, he did not get it done. He made it to the Super Bowl though, right? So I think that's fair. I think if you're getting to the Super Bowl, I think like the AJ Brown contract for the Eagles is fine, right? They paid him and it helped him get to a Super Bowl. Amon-Ra St. Brown just got paid. Jury's still out. Tyreek Hill got paid. They also just paid their other receiver. They now have 2 of the top 4. But Tyreek Hill has made Miami better. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but not good enough, right? Devontae Adams with the Raiders has been a bust. Cooper Kupp got paid by the Rams after they ended up winning it. Debo is up there, and San Francisco has reached the Super Bowl 2 times with Debo. So I'd say that was worth it for the 49ers. I don't know. I think he got his contract, though, after the first appearance. So either way, they've made it since.
I guess in my brain, it says, don't spend money on those guys. Don't.
Well, and to your point, the depth at the position is greater than it ever has been. So are they, they are more valuable than they ever have been, but in a lot of cases, they're more replaceable because the talent flooding into the league at that position is so good. Like it feels like we are resetting rookie receiver records every single year. Puka Nacua reset the record that Justin Jefferson set to break. Jamar Chase set it, and then Jefferson sets it, and then Nacua sets it. Like we're trending that way. I get what you're saying, but if you're the Vikings, you can't let Justin Jefferson get out of there, can you? You just drafted a rookie quarterback.
Well, that, and it also positions the rest of the league in a certain way.
Sure,
because now all these other guys are going to want the same money. So it's also a way for Minnesota to kind of bleed the competition. Your point is well taken about them having a rookie quarterback contract. They don't have to put the money there. Other guys do, and now they're putting the squeeze on wide receivers across the league. So it's an interesting financial move.
Yeah,
it's just so much money.
I mean, the Chiefs, you got to go down for Hollywood Brown. I mean, you're looking at like
affordable
30th, 35th. Like they haven't done it. Now they have Kelsey, and they have had the luxury of Kelsey being willing to play on a cheap deal. That's the other thing about looking at this in fairness, right? In fairness, the Chiefs aren't the most comparable team to look at because they've had Kelsey, who's the greatest tight end that's ever played, who is essentially a receiver, play for comparatively next to nothing, and they finally got him paid a little bit. And he's been compensated compared to the tight ends, but we all know he shouldn't be compared to the tight ends. He should be compared to the receivers. And he hasn't been anywhere near that, and he's been totally fine with it. And that's allowed the Chiefs to do other things. So and they also get the luxury, Rick, and that not everybody else, that they have Patrick Mahomes,
who could care less, he throws to whoever's open.
Right. And so it's a little unfair to make the Chiefs the standard, right? Because they're in a circumstance that no other team gets to be in. No other team gets to be in their situation. This combination of Mahomes, Reed, and Kelsey, right?
Like throw Chris Jones in there too, because he's digging out of that same payroll pile, and he's reasonable.
I just mean, well, he's not anymore. He held out, and now he's the highest paid guy. But
yeah, but he's the best guy.
He is. He is. I agree. We look at this and we're like, okay, well, the Chiefs haven't had to do it. They let Tyreek Hill walk, and that is true. I just don't know if it's fair to compare the Vikings situation, for instance, to that situation, because the Vikings just drafted J.J. McCarthy. They need to do, like, their sole focus in life should be making sure McCarthy's good. I've gone through these numbers. I haven't with you, Rick. It is staggering. If you look at the list of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks over the last 30 years, there's only a handful that are not either Hall of Famers or will be Hall of Famers who have won Super Bowls, like 3 or 4. I don't have the list in front of me, but I've had it before. It is staggering how closely related quarterback play is to Super Bowl wins. Like at a Hall of Fame level, basically, is where you have to be in this league. Almost always. Rare exceptions to that. And so if you're the Vikings,
well, it's also kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy too, you know.
If you're the Bengals, if you're one of these teams that has these decisions, if you're the Dolphins have had to make them, are you looking at your quarterback has to be playing at that level. You have to ensure that they're playing at that level you think to win a Super Bowl. So if you're the Vikings and you've taken J.J. McCarthy and you're trying to get him to that level, you can't let a guy like Justin Jefferson get away from you. You have to do what a lot of teams have had done. You might have to sacrifice defensive players. You might have to sacrifice, but you have to make sure your quarterback is as good as they can be, and especially a young one who's trying to develop. The worst thing you can do is what the Panthers did last year with Bryce Young, and just like give him nobody to throw to really, and he's just kind of out there and he just gets smashed like that. Bryce Young ain't going to be a Hall of Famer. Never going to. So you have the opposite side of that, what the Vikings are doing, what the Bears have done for Caleb Williams. They are doing everything they can to make those rookies as comfortable as they can, because they understand clearly we have to get this right. And so, yeah, the Vikings, Justin Jefferson's going to make a lot of money. Does he lead them to a Super Bowl? I don't know. I'd say the chances are low. But does he make their quarterback better now, and does he make their quarterback better in the long term? I would say absolutely he does. Then it becomes sort of a no-brainer. Like, you got to keep them. You got to keep those guys. You have to do everything you can to make your quarterbacks great. And having Justin Jefferson there will, short and long term, help J.J. McCarthy be as good as he can be, because it's just going to make it easier on him early on to just have Justin Jefferson there.
$1 million a game up front.
Well,
for 4 years. $1 million a game. How do you stay motivated for that, Jacob? How do you stay motivated as a player when they give you $1 million bucks?
Same way everybody does. Football players are underpaid, Rick, according to the other sports. Look at what baseball and basketball players get paid right now. Football players are getting $1 million. Football players are getting are way behind the market. They don't play as many games. I get it, but man, they take the beating.
$1 million a game. He only has to play half the game.
What is Damian Lillard making, like $80 million a year? I mean, come on now. He's making $1 million a game, but he gets to play 81 games.
One of 5 guys, and he has to play in shorts.
Right. Exactly. Football players. You're not gonna hear me get on to how much football. Like, if we're gonna get on to how much athletes get paid, for me, it ain't gonna be football players.
There you go.
Because what they get beat down with, it's not there. All right. Good luck on that text giveaway, everybody. Again, so we can keep those going. We'll have fun with this. Text that keyword T to 20357 to win some HTO. That'll go just kind of throughout the show here today. And then we'll have another one of those coming up in the second hour that will get you. It'll be that same number, but a different code word. So stay tuned for that opportunity. We'll get into Caitlin Clark. We'll get into the Corn Ferry. Rick has thoughts on the UEFA Championship. I do not. I'll let Rick take the floor. I don't watch a second of it, but I don't even know who won. I mean, honestly, we sit here right now at 9:42. I have no idea who won the UEFA League.
Same team as always.
Rick will enlighten us. That's fine. I get it. It's one of the most popular, if not the most popular thing in the world. So yeah, we can spend a second on that. You'll hear a very ignorant me try to set it up. 869-1240 is the number to call if you want to chime in. It's Albracht. It's Regan. It's Sports Daily. We'll be right back.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
The app today to get started. I want to appreciate Prairie Fire Coffee here for a second for fueling us up at KFH all across the Odyssey family there, all the great stations. We've got a Prairie Fire Coffee going through it. Corey asks us on our video stream, which you can find on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X, what we think about Minnesota against their schedule this year as far as wins. I like Minnesota against their win total. We went through those a little while ago and just sort of identified the ones that kind of jump out at us as opportunities here. I can tell you that Minnesota right now sits at 6.5 wins is their over under, Rick, and it's juiced down. The over 6.5 is one of people's favorite bets, but basically, can the Vikings get to 7 wins?
Who do they? What's their odd division? Who do they play this year?
They get, and I haven't looked at their schedule directly. I would just tell you, and I'll pull it up right now.
I'm looking.
I would tell you that I think that they can get to 7 wins. I think McCarthy has a chance to be really good. I think that they, with this, especially now with Jefferson there, Hawkinson will get back. Addison was really good. Their defense should be, maybe even better than it was a year ago. They'll play, they get the Giants out of division. They get the Jets, which will be really interesting, out of division. The Rams, the Jags, the Colts, the Titans out of division, the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and that's it. So I think they can find 7 wins out of 17. I think they can be better than 7 and 10. Basically, 7 and 10 or better. I know they got the rookie quarterback. They got Aaron Jones in there now. Like, they're better across the board. You don't think, it'd be silly to say J.J. McCarthy is going to be as good as Kirk Cousins was last year before he was hurt, but they were hanging in there even with their backup quarterback. So I think that they can get to their win total for sure. And I think they're one of my favorites to do it. And I don't think I'm the only one, because that over has been juiced way down, which means everybody's betting it. It's really, do you think J.J. McCarthy, and they're going to start with Sam Darnold, I know. But do you think with whoever at quarterback, the rest of that team can get 7 wins? I think they can. And I think their division is going to be real tough with the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. I think it's going to be real tough. But if you're telling me right now, in year one, would I take the Vikings or the Bears, both with rookie quarterbacks? I would still take the Vikings, because I think I like Caleb Williams the most out of the class. I just think the Vikings overall have a better roster. And I think J.J. McCarthy has a chance to be really good. I think McCarthy and Williams, to me, out of this class are the 2 guys that stand out as potentially that dude that could get to that level more than the other guys at this point.
Sure. Plus, you got your $1 million a game guy.
Well, yeah, you got Jefferson back, which helps.
Going to make a big difference. It's going to make a big difference, I think.
He's the best the league has, probably overall. Tyreek Hill's got something to say about that for sure. But, I think most people would point to Jefferson as the top guy. But if he's not the top guy, he's real close to the top guy. And that'll help them. But I think they can get 7 wins to answer Corey's question there on the video stream. You can find that video stream. You can leave us your questions there, as always, here on the program. In hour number 2, we will get you set up for our other text giveaway. We'll do that off the top of the hour there, so stay tuned for that. It'll be Nick Swartzen concert tickets. We will talk about the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. It was a really interesting weekend for her. Sets a record, gets a hip check and makes a public enemy number 1 out of an opponent, and then has one of the worst games she's ever had in her college, it is the worst game she's ever had in her college or a WNBA young professional career. But look, guess what's in the headlines all the time?
Plus, she went to the cruddiest team.
I know.
I know. That's what happens. But she
but
did get
so
knocked.
Much.
That was a knock. That was bad.
It was a cheap
They came
shot.
back and fined that gal.
Yeah, they did that today. That happened just a little while. We'll get into all of it, because I think it's amazing. And look, I think we're maybe being a little too protective of Caitlin Clark it was a cheap shot, but it was a little hip check. I mean, it was basically akin to like bumping shoulders with somebody in the hallway when you want to let them know something's up. You know, like back in the good old days. You walk by, you just kind of give them that little shoulder shimmy. But we'll talk about it. I love it. I think it's fascinating. We'll get into the Caitlin Clark thing. We'll do that. We've got some other stuff coming in hour number 2 for you as well. Your chances to win some prizes. Stick with us, Sports Daily. We're coming right back.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Lee Castor.
And welcome back in, everybody. Hour number 2 here on the program. Glad to be with you. Jacob Albracht, rocking Rick Regan in for Tommy today. Jad Chambers producing. Jad manning that IHOP hotline for us. Glad that he is manning that for us, 869-1240. And, man, it's really good to be here on a Monday. We got some rain. All right. Let's talk Caitlin Clark here, Rick. You got before we do that, let's set up our second text contest here. Nick Swartzen. So we've got some Nick Swartzen concert tickets for you. He is the Buzz in KFH, welcoming him to Century 2's Concert Hall Sunday, September 29th. Okay, so it's a Sunday, September 29th show, and the Buzz and KFH are going to give you a chance to get there. And how we're going to do that, and we're going to introduce this to a lot of things. We've already got one contest going, but this will be our second contest on the text line right now. And so keep the number 20357 handy, 20357. All you got to do to enter for a chance to win tickets, and we'll give away pairs of tickets, we'll have 10 winners, is to text JOKES, 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 to 20357. You can enter this once a day. We will be doing this through June 7th, once a day. Just text JOKES to 20357. Good luck. The other giveaway we have right now is our daily giveaway of some HTO. That's the same number. You just text the word T, T-E-A, to that same number for a chance to win some HTO. So 2 contests there. Good luck. We're excited to be able to do these contests this way rather than just the traditional call in and win, because we know everybody isn't able to call in when they're maybe listening at work or listening in the past. Maybe you're catching this on a podcasted version, but you still want a chance to win some of these prizes. Like for Nick Swartzen, for instance, if you're listening to us not live on the air, but later on now, you'll have a chance to do that. Just text that number. Good luck, everybody. Rick, as we make our way into hour number 2, what is the goal for Caitlin Clark, would you say, in the WNBA in year 1? Not what's her goal. Her goal is obviously to win every game she plays in. But what is the goal for the sport here is to keep WNBA basketball front of mind, to keep it in the headlines, and love it, hate it. You can think whatever you want. Caitlin Clark does that pretty much single-handedly. Now, she's going to bring other people up with her, and that will help. I think one of the big keys here in this will be the continued rivalry of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I think that's important in all of this. So a lot has happened over the last handful of days. You had Caitlin Clark last week set a WNBA career high with 30 points, 6 assists. She's still turning the ball over too much. Then she follows that with 20 points and 9 assists. And then over the weekend, she plays Chicago. And she goes for 11, 6. That's where the big hip check game happens. Shinity Carter,
who's a guard, by the way.
What's that?
She's a guard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So Caitlin Clark, look, we know.
Yeah, but I mean,
Caitlin
she
Clark
seemed big. She seemed pretty big to me. I mean, that to me, that's a big part of the ladies' league.
Well,
the
look,
girls are big.
You heard former and current players when Caitlin Clark was finishing up be like, look, it's going to be harder on her when she gets the WNBA, playing grown women who are going to push her around a little bit. It's no different than any sport, right? You beat up on the rookies a little bit. It's not, I don't want to call it hazing because I don't think that's the right word, but it's a rite of passage, right? You've got to come in, especially somebody like Clark. These players have been busting their tails in the WNBA for a long time. They've wanted the attention, but here comes this hotshot rookie that everybody loves, and yeah, you're going to bust him around a little bit. And so she gets hip checked. It was a cheap shot. There's no doubt about it. Was it the most egregious foul we've ever seen, like some people paint it to be? No, it wasn't. She hip checked her. Angel Reese celebrated on the sideline. Continue that rivalry. Mission accomplished there. Create some villains, mission accomplished, and keep Caitlin Clark in the headlines. Look, mission accomplished. I think that, and this isn't what I'm not saying I want to see Caitlin Clark get hip checked. What I'm saying is it's interesting, and it's remained interesting, and her storyline has remained interesting. I didn't know how it would translate from college basketball to the pros. women's NCAA basketball is an established brand that's been around forever, and so is the WNBA. But, can you carry that sort of momentum? We don't really know, right? We don't know if it will carry. And I think, and I haven't seen the numbers, but I would anticipate they're probably pretty high. They're accomplishing everything they need to with Caitlin Clark in this league, and she is going to have to put up with some shenanigans.
Sure.
And that's a part of it.
Star, hero, must-see TV, victim. She's everything.
You've got it all. Villains. Now you've got villains created. Like, these are all the things you need to have that sort of buzz that league's trying to generate.
She's even a martyr.
Sure.
She covers all the bases.
Look, and she doesn't want that. She just wants to go play basketball, and I get it, and I appreciate how she handles all of this. She is doing it all just about perfectly, and it's great. Angel Reese is playing her role perfectly. She feels slighted. She wants the same attention. She ain't going to get it. So what do? You become the villain. She's been great at that. These two know each other. She's been great at the villain. I think that some of my greatest memories, Rick, to the NBA are when you have clearly established heroes and villains, right? Like, you have clearly defined. That's why I think Luka going to the finals right now in the NBA is really interesting, because, man, he is a trash talking. He's incredible. But if you're not a fan of his, you probably really don't like him, right? Like, because he talks trash and he does all these things. He could, if they go and make this a great series, establish something that I think we've been missing to some degree in the NBA, right? With LeBron not being there, and he has this same effect, right? Some people love him, some people hate him, all these things. Without him being there, I think the attention on the finals the last few years, even though the basketball is incredible, it hasn't been as storybook, right? You don't have those storybook things happening. Caitlin Clark is providing this perfect story of a rookie season. Like, you can easily look to the future with what kind of player she is. She comes in, she comes to the worst team. She gets her butt kicked around a little bit. She has flashes, but she takes her lumps this year. And then in 3 years, that franchise is turned around, led by her. They're winning a title. And like, all of this is exactly what you'd want if you're the WNBA. This is going perfectly for them. The league steps in. They punish the player for the cheap shot. They did that. They made it a flagrant 1. Today, I think, is when they announced that they did that.
Let's face it. It's about me. This is all about me.
Trying to win you over to the WNBA.
I look at this. I will scroll.
Yeah.
I see the games on. I stop and watch some of the game.
That you are the target, right? Like, WNBA fans are already WNBA fans. What Caitlin Clark can bring to that league is what she brought to college basketball. And it's not winning over. And I've talked about this before. Like, it's never been, to me, they don't need to worry as much about like winning over sports fans, because sports fans we already are stretched so thin with what we can watch. Are you watching Major League Baseball right now? Are you a diehard NFL fan that's locked into every moment of the offseason? Maybe you're a hockey fan as you're in the Stanley Cup. All of these things, like, it's very hard for me to imagine pulling people away from their already long-established sports viewing habits. However, you're going to get a little of that just because the storyline's really juicy. But what Caitlin Clark has brought to the college game that I think is even more important that they carry over is that sort of casual or not sports fan that was watching Caitlin Clark. And that, to me, was her largest audience and the largest impact. It was people that didn't give a rip about sports.
Sure.
Otherwise, at least watching sports on television. And so you got to make sure all those people translate and carry over into the WNBA first.
Come on, it's sports. It's efforted drama, right? That's what we want to see.
When it's at its best. Yes.
So why am I watching do I watch the NHL all season? No. When it's the playoffs, and we all know that every second matters when they're playing.
Yep.
NFL play or NHL playoffs are awesome. They're fantastic to watch. It's hard to watch NBA regular season sometimes unless it's your team. In the playoffs, it's easy. Every possession matters.
Right.
And that's
we
what
do
she's
that because
brought. And
we
that's what
watch,
she's brought.
right? We watch college basketball here. I watched a ton of NBA before I moved to this state and this city. And now it's like, well, I can't get enough college basketball. So I've switched, right? I don't watch both. I watch college basketball till college basketball's done. Then I begin to dabble into the NBA. Okay. I'm not going to probably change habits. Now, enter Caitlin Clark, right? So you've either made time for the WNBA or you have not historically. That's probably not changing a ton either way. But you're probably paying attention to what Caitlin Clark does. And I wondered if that translated, because you definitely were in college. And I wondered if it would translate. Man, I think it's translating. I do. I think people are generally interested in what she's doing right now, one way or the other. There's plenty of people that don't want to see her succeed. There's plenty of doubters. There's plenty of people that she's their greatest superhero and everything else. She's handling it all perfectly, but I think everybody else is too. And look, there's going to be some jealousy when Caitlin Clark comes in, but Caitlin Clark's changing the league for the better. And I get the animosity to that. Nobody wants to see the young gun come in. Rick says she's the reason that they now have charter flights and why anyone's paying attention to the league, and they'll be better off because of her, just like golf with Tiger Woods. But they're jealous. Of course they're jealous, but it will come with time, and you'll see it. How much, you're a golf guy, Rick, like how much appreciation over time did the other golfers develop for Tiger Woods? They all knew who the cash cow was, at least as I recall it, especially late in the deal. Like they all knew the sport was more popular and everybody was doing better and making more money and doing everything because Tiger was there. That same thing will happen with Caitlin Clark. But what that doesn't mean, though, is that this isn't just like every other sport, and those grizzled vets who've been working their tails off in the WNBA forever aren't going to give her a hard time. Of course they are. And they should. Now, should they flagrant one hip checker? No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is they needed to follow up with that narrative that she had late in college that, yeah, wait till you get to the pros and you're playing grown women. It's a little different than playing college basketball. And we're seeing that translate. And I like that we're seeing that translate. It adds to this dramatic story
100%.
that you can see from a mile away that we love more than anything about sports, is that she's going to go through her trials, her troubles this season. She's going to turn this franchise around that was terrible before she got there, and she will remain the face, and they'll start winning, and she'll be it's going to be great. And she'll have villains along the way, and that'll make it even better.
It didn't go so far that they needed to give her number 42 instead of 22, but she is doing some different things. She's breaking down some small barriers.
Yeah, I don't.
Here's what I ask: where's her team when she's getting knocked around? I haven't seen.
I agree with that. They need to be ready.
They need to go knock somebody else down. You know, it's kind of like it's the old NBA, isn't it? Isn't the
yes?
It's like the old. It's like 40 years ago NBA right now.
You can sense some discomfort just across the board. Her style of play is a little bit different. It's a little bit frantic. She's going to have to struggle through it. She's going to have to learn how to not turn the ball over. But she's also going to have to not be afraid to go shoot the ball 17 times, 15, 20 times on her way to 20 and 30-point games. Ultimately, if she's going to be the best version of herself, she's going to need to be fearless when she plays. And so in order for her to do that, right, her teammates are going to have to help her be there. She is not shooting the three at a clip that's like, I don't, and this goes back to, you know, when we try to look at Caitlin Clark, I was never of the belief, and again, I'm not an expert on this, and so I would defer to others on it. I always thought that Caitlin Clark had a chance to have like a Steph Curry impact, not a LeBron James impact. I don't think Caitlin Clark's going to step into the WNBA and just be the best player for 2 decades, because I don't think that's likely by her style translating to the next level. What I do think she has a chance to do is replicate what Steph Curry did when Steph Curry exploded onto the scene, and that is become must-see TV that is doing it a little bit differently. And so Steph Curry won a ton of championships, though. right? It's not, Steph Curry was never the best basketball player in the NBA when he played. He's never been the best player. LeBron James has always been the best player. And now probably Luka and Jokic and these other guys are the best player. It's never been Steph Curry.
Well, think about Caitlin Clark's college career and the team that was around her. We in our minds can instantly recognize the players she was with. She dished to the big, tall, blonde girl. She dished, I don't know their names. I mean, she truly did make the other people on her team
She's
better.
A point guard, right? Yeah.
And I think she's going to have the opportunity to do that
But her team has to buy in and let her shoot 20 times and right now turn the ball over 7 times. I would imagine that's frustrating for them too.
And she may have to be a better team. She may need better players. I mean,
but she has to work through that stuff.
Yep.
Like she has to be able to play that way or it'll never be as good as it can be. And that has to be difficult as a teammate. That has to be difficult on Caitlin Clark, too, by the way.
Many great all-time players did not come out in their first season, especially in basketball, and win championships.
Well, I don't think anybody thought this team was going to win a championship. They're not very good. And so they've got to get better, but they also have to go through her growing pains together. And when she gets hip checked, be ready to get into a fist fight. You can't do that to our teammate. And so it's all an evolution. But again, to the original point, I think this is going perfectly for the WNBA. Perfectly. It is become something that we watch constantly. And the hope, if you're the WNBA, is while Caitlin Clark is bringing this massive audience with her, that it elevates everybody else. And everybody else is like, man, there are tons of good players. Man, the WNBA has gotten really good because it has. The WNBA on the floor has been really good for a long time. It's just you're fighting against all of these other things pulling our attention. You get Caitlin Clark over, she's got everybody's attention. For whatever reason, she always has.
It's not quite must-see TV, but I could watch that TV.
Yeah, it'll be must-see TV when her team is better. Right? When they're winning games. It's not must-see TV to watch the Fever get beat. They're not very good.
No.
But if they keep, these other secondary storylines going along with it, then it becomes must-see TV. I love it. I think it's going perfect. I know that she's taken her lumps and she's handled it well. I think it's going perfect for the league itself to try and grow the way it hopes it can grow behind Caitlin Clark. And the league, by the way, needs to defend Caitlin Clark. And they did.
And that kind of drama is good to watch. That's what we want.
And by the way,
that's sports drama.
Shinity Carter, and I'm not sure how she pronounces her first name. Forgive me. You gotta own up to it. She wouldn't answer any questions about it after the game, and her coach wouldn't either. Like, come on now. Like, you're gonna make that kind of play. We can all read your lips. If you're gonna make that play, you got to talk about it. Don't hide and not say anything about it. Don't sit there and deny the questions. Like, you did it. Why'd you do it? Because I need to put her in her place. Great. There's a great answer. Love that answer. But you got to say something. And that's there's going to be growing pains all around the league. You want attention? WNBA? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get the attention. You want to make a bold move like hip checking? You think we're not going to see you do it? You want to call her what you called her right before you did it? You better be ready to answer some questions about it because you're going to have about 30 more reporters than you ever had before ready to find out why you made that call. So make your call and stick with it and stand with it and don't be afraid of it if you're going to make that move. Be the bad guys.
Well, she has commented on X.
What'd she say on X? She wouldn't comment to the reporters. I didn't see her comments on X.
Well, I guess I can spell it.
Just hint at it.
We grown. ASF, and y'all talking about enforcer man, then some more letters, and then hoop or shut up.
I love it. Say that, though. Say that to the camera. Yeah. Because after the game, she said, I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions. And she said, I don't know what she said. I didn't say anything. Of course she did. But just answer. Say what you say on X. Because here's the deal. That makes it way better. Mike brings up a good point. He said Jordan started the same way and the Pistons were the bad boys and they'd bully him around. Right. And it made everything that much better. I don't care. I don't want Caitlin Clark to get hurt. I don't think you need to be going flagrant one on it. But look, Carter gave her a little hip bump again. That wasn't that big a dang deal.
If the clock was rolling, it would have been different. That's the deal. Come on, let's just go right to it. If the clock was running,
a cheap shot.
If she hit her during play, that's one thing. Or standing around and she comes up and knocks her on her butt.
She needed to be punished for. Don't misunderstand, but I don't think it was anything that was going to like hurt Caitlin Clark. It was a hip check. And so anyway, whatever. That's not that important. What I'm saying is
it was good. It was good.
Must-see TV. We're talking about it here.
Amen.
We're talking about it. I was listening this weekend. Everybody's, Saturday as that happened, like, oh my God, did you see it? It goes viral on social media. Everybody, like, you got to have that. You got to have the storylines to go along with this because Caitlin Clark is not playing well enough and her team is not good enough for that to be the only thing that drives this narrative and drives this attention. You have to have this other stuff. And so embrace this other stuff. It will make it better. It always does. It'll make it better. You don't want to put anybody in danger, but we got to have this drama because this drama is like, just keep feeding me. Like, feed me this drama. I want it. Like, that's what we want. We can say it. We just want to watch the games. I don't think that's true anymore. I really don't. Like, our attention spans are too short. You got to give us a little juice with this.
I would like to see Angel Reese fall off those giant high heels she was strolling in with last night, though. You missed it. Sorry.
Because, listen,
she was walking down a hallway.
Bad guy.
She was walking down a hallway on like 6-inch heels, and it looked like she was going to go down any second.
Because she's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Look, she has created this villain role for herself, and I hope she embraces it too. She's a great player, man.
Oh, man.
She is a great player. I think she set like a rookie record for offensive rebounds. We need her to be good too for this to work. Like, we need her to be good and embrace that villain role. And I know, it was at the ESPYs or whatever it was. It wasn't maybe her favorite thing, but she's out there laughing and high-fiving when Clark gets hip checked. They got to embrace that too. We need them both. We need the hero and the villain. That's what makes it better. All right, 869-1240. You can chime in on the IHOP hotline. A lot of good comments there on the video stream on this topic. Want to get into the Chiefs kicking situation. Didn't spend a lot of time with this last week, but the Chiefs coaching staff sort of talked about how the new kickoff rules could impact and what they've seen from it. And it may mean they don't want Harrison Butker kicking off all that often. And I get it. I don't think I would either. They've got a couple other options. One they've stated and one Rick thinks they might want to explore. We'll get into it next when we continue. Sports Daily, Albracht, Regan with you on a Monday. We'll be right back.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Albracht, Rock and Rick Regan in with you. We have a couple of contest giveaways going right now, texting contest. The number is 20357. 20357. You can text jokes to that number for a chance to win tickets to see Nick Swardson, comedian playing at Century 2 on September 29th. That's from The Buzz and us here at KFH. You can also win some HTO by sending a text TEA to that same number, 20357. So good luck to everybody on those two contests. Thanks for listening to us here on KFH. Our stream, kfhradio.com, our video stream, available to you as well on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Rick, the Chiefs have a kickoff situation to figure out here. Dave Toub came on last week and basically said, so here's the issue. I don't want to put words in Toub's mouth. He's basically brought up the idea of Justin Reed kicking off. We've seen Reed do this when Butker wasn't feeling well. The issue, though, for Toub and that the coaching staff has identified is on a very large percentage of plays as they've watched this sort of kickoff rule, which is changing drastically next season. It's gonna mirror like what the XFL did. And so what the Chiefs coaches have noticed is that the kicker is involved in the tackle on these plays a lot. And so they don't want Butker to have to do that. And I don't blame him. And I wonder what teams are going to do because, again, especially in a situation like Butker, who's one of the better kickers in the league, who was just nails last year, like you don't want to get to the point where he's getting hurt on a kickoff trying to make a tackle. So their thought and the idea that Toub ran out there was, Reed can do this, and that gives us a better tackler on special teams. Maybe they just let Justin Reed kick the ball off. It's an interesting dynamic that I don't think a lot of people across the league probably, but not fans, have really thought about.
Do we know?
And it makes a lot of sense.
Do we know how this kickoff thing even works? Come on, I don't have any idea.
I haven't.
There's a distance, right? There's a certain, there's an ideal distance now. So instead of just kicking it out of the stadium, which
the
everybody
NFL
does.
didn't like that.
Well, sure. Well,
Yeah,
none of
the
us
NFL
did.
didn't want that.
And you don't need to have a great kicker to kick it out of the stadium.
Right.
You don't. But in this new deal, it seems like you got to have a guy that can kick it a certain distance. Like send you or me in there. The furthest we could ever kick off would be 35 yards. It's perfect distance. So I think
this. So you got to hit it into a landing zone. I think it's going to be awesome. You got to hit it into a landing zone. It's going to make more returns. More returns will happen. There's less like collision space, which was the reason they made the change in the first place, because those high-paced collisions were like injury-based. It seems like it will check a lot of boxes. But what it also, the Chiefs have noticed, does is put your kicker in on a lot of tackles. I think he said somewhere between 25 to 40% is what they were guessing.
We don't need
kicker
that.
Would be involved. No, well, the kicker doesn't. So what do? How do you adjust? How do you adapt?
Zam it.
Chiefs have a weapon. Well, okay, so that's they've got the Chiefs also have Reese Zammit, this rugby player, and that's interesting. I don't know if he can kick. I think everybody can to some degree.
All
rugby.
Rugby guys kick. This guy kicks,
but not off of a tee, right? You don't tee it up and kick.
Got to be easier than hitting it off the ground, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never. I'm not a kicking expert, but it is another good option. I think they probably. I'm with you. I think it would be advantageous for them to put him out there and see what he's got. But you've got Justin Reed. We know Justin Reed can do this. We've seen Justin Reed do this.
Isn't like
that a weapon for the Chiefs though?
There's a line of guys like the kickoff team all lines up, and then the kicker starts running. And he's running, and when he kicks it, then everybody can go into action, right? Or does the ball have to be caught?
You have to. I need to see it. The teams are lined up only like 5 yards away from each other. Okay, so when it starts, they line up right next to each other, kind of rugby-esque maybe.
Yeah.
And then the kicker is trying to get it into this landing zone, which is it's between 20 yards and the goal line.
And he's running.
You don't want it in the end zone. If it gets into that landing zone, it has to be returned. And then you're going to have a much better chance to get it past the 20, because you know now that they're trying to kick it into this landing zone. And so if it doesn't get there, then they get the ball at the 40. If it is into the end zone in the air, they can automatically take it to the 20 or to the 30. If it bounces into the end zone, I think you can only get it at the 20. So what you'll see, I think, and what they've seen is kickers trying to get it in between the 20 and the goal line and give your chance for your team to go make a tackle. Or what you'll probably try to see is a kicker trying to get it to like roll into the end zone. But you've got two return guys back there. They'll pick it up and go. And you've got all these tacklers. So there's just going to be more action on the play. And inherently with more action on the play, that's what the Chiefs have identified, I suppose, is that just means the kicker's involved on tackles a lot. We don't want our kicker, who's an all-pro kicker, field goal kicker. We want him kicking field goals. Like, your top priority is making field goals. We don't want you to be involved in tackles ever. And so
bring in the Welshman.
Yeah, look, maybe there is a rugby component to this. I would definitely, though, if I'm the Chiefs, I would have Zammit and Reed practicing these kicks every day.
I think Zammit,
and if they can do it, problem solved. You got two guys that can do it.
Is Zammit?
I'd have him practice it every day.
Is he our tush push guy? Is the other side of who knows what the heck?
I don't know.
Zammit,
that's a good question too. I'm not sure. I mean, I've never seen this guy play football. I don't think he ever has played football.
Isn't the tush push a rugby play?
Kind of, yeah.
Here's the ball, and all our guys are going to shove you that way. To me, I don't know. I don't know anything about rugby.
I can't
but
believe the Chiefs never did that. I can't believe the Chiefs never did it with Blake Bell. And so maybe they do with Zammit. It's a valuable play. The only problem for the Chiefs when you do it is it means you're taking Patrick Mahomes off the field. And do you ever want to take Patrick Mahomes off the field? That is the only complication.
Well,
there
we
for the
don't want
Chiefs.
him running for 1 yard plays anymore either. So
No.
So I guess
he's not going to do the tush push.
Yeah.
So if you're going to bring somebody else in to do it, that means you don't have the best player in the world on the field. I get it to some degree. I think they should have tried it with Blake Bell. Maybe they'll try it with Zamet. Maybe that's why they brought Zamet in. I don't know. But I do. You brought that up this morning. We were kind of going through show notes, and you're like, well, what about, the rugby player on kickoffs? And I'm like, wait, they said Eric Reed might kick off.
Yeah.
But then I understood the
stuff.
idea of it. Well, but no, I don't. Reed has kicked off.
Well, sure, when Butker was injured.
Yeah, so we know he can get it there. So I would start with that, right? He's a really good player that is going to make you better. I would start there, and I'd put him on it. But if Zamet can do it, it lessens the injury risk to one of your really good players in Reed. But maybe it's a weapon. I don't know. I don't know what Zamet does. I don't even know if Zamet ends up making this roster. I mean, who knows? But it is an interesting dynamic, but it is something that the Chiefs appear to have an advantage over the rest of the league in that maybe they get one extra tackler essentially on a kickoff than everybody else does. And what you'll see happen is if this works for the Chiefs, or if they're right and these kickers are involved too much, every team across the league is going to start doing this.
Well, the kickoff's going to become the new tush push play. Like, how do you do it? How's it?
And you just get to your roster and like, who else can kick? Like anybody else kick? Because probably there's a real good chance these players were all the best players at their high schools, and they probably were the best kickers just because they're great athletes. And they're like, yeah, I kicked in high school. I was our kicker. I would imagine that's pretty common. So maybe teams across the league will do this, and it will become that much more interesting. I really like it. Just in general, I think this rule change is a good one.
A big high pop-up kickoff. The trick is can they I don't know the rule. Can they move?
Well, I don't either. I'm not going to pretend I watched XFL. I haven't seen it. I didn't watch the XFL.
Okay.
But the idea of it is better.
The players on the kicking team that are 5 yards apart, they can move when the fielder fields the ball, or I believe if it lands in the landing zone and it is not fielded, like if he misjudges it, doesn't catch it, whatever, that's when you can actually start moving. Is when, or when you can start moving forward is when the catch is made.
And where's he kick from, Chad?
Oh,
like, can they just kind of like punch it? Just kind of punch it just punch it down there 30 yards and let it start rolling? It'll be very interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. I think every team is going to wind up with some different.
No,
kind of
because
strategy.
if it lands short of that landing zone, that's a penalty, I believe.
So get it to the 20 and
it's got to land in the landing zone. If it lands beyond it in the end zone, you get that's
touchback,
like
basically.
kicking it out of bounds used to be. You get a shorter field.
I think you find a guy that can kick it 40 yards straight up in the air and can never.
We're just going to need to see the preseason. I think we just got to see the preseason, because we like, unless you watch the XFL, people that watch the XFL would tell you at least everything I've seen that this is going to be awesome.
We'll see if we can get one of those two guys on the phone real quick.
Right.
one or two guys had to have watched that.
Shots fired. I mean, look, if I really wanted to, I could go find video of the new kickoff rule. I could. I'm not going to. I'm just going to wait until the preseason, then I'll see it.
Leave ourselves a little mystery.
It's going to be better because the thing that's been lacking is a kick return. It's one of the most exciting plays in football. We don't get punts hardly anymore. You rarely see a punt return, and we never see kick returns. So you think about some of your great memories in the sport, whether it be specific players or, big, meaningful impact plays, Music City Miracle, whatever. Like, those come on kickoffs. You got to have kickoffs. Like, we got to have returns. So
plus, the whole guy's standing still, waiting until it. I mean, what, a guy's going to be standing there, kind of lined up in a 3-point stance or whatever, kind of looking over their shoulder. There's going to be a dude whistle. They'll throw out a flag like it's the beginning of a drag race, and then everybody can start playing. I think it's going to be wild.
It'll be wild. It'll add to it. It will be good.
It'll be a play there instead of a commercial.
It will enjoy it. It will be fun. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll come back to the Royals, who are coming into a stretch here to watch. We'll sort of recap what we talked about off the top of the show and begin to get you primed for not just a series that's critically important, but a stretch of games that the schedule is tough, man. It's gonna be an interesting 2-3 weeks here. We'll talk about it.
Hey, and you got to let me kick it.
Yeah.
You got to let me stick in 2 seconds on this UFA thing too when we get back.
Oh yeah. The UEFA. Yeah, we'll do that too. Rick will give us UEFA thoughts. It's just not on my mind, but we'll get them. I don't even know who played it. I'm not gonna look it up.
I'll tell you all you need to know.
You can enlighten me.
I got you.
When we return on Sports Daily.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Jacob Albracht, rocking Rick Regan in for Tommy today. All kinds of fun we're having. Back to the Royals in a minute. All right, Rick needs to enlighten us, he says, on UEFA League.
Yeah, UEFA.
So UEFA is and listen, I am going to plead ignorance here and not have 1 ounce of shame about it. You can judge me all you want. UEFA is the one where the different teams of the different countries play against one another, right? This is not the
Euros.
Is it like
This is the Euro League.
okay? So what is UEFA? That's what this is.
I don't even
where
pronounce
you might
it
have
that
like
way myself.
Spain.
First off, let me just stress: I am not a soccer guy.
So who played in this championship?
Okay, so it was Real Madrid and Dortmund. Real Madrid, they're like the Patriots of old. They're the team.
Spain.
They've won 15.
And England. So
There's-
this is different than the the Champions League or whatever?
No,
Where all
no,
just
that's
the
what-
English teams.
This was the
This
champion.
one
This was
has
the
the
Champions
best of-
League final.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's think of it like the NCAA tournament, if you want. It's all the
Different
teams in a
conferences. I got you.
giant
Okay.
round
Yep,
robin,
yep.
all competing to get down to
I
this one
gotcha.
big game.
Okay.
It's the big
All right.
game of the year for these guys. There's the World Cup. There's the league championship.
This is the one outside of the World Cup. This is the biggest soccer event, right? Because it's everybody.
You bet. A little
okay.
perspective, maybe. Super Bowl, 100 million U.S. viewers. NFL says
Got
a billion worldwide. That's what the NFL claims. That seems a lot. This football game, the soccer game, broadcast in 200 countries. They expect 450 million viewers watched it. The Super Bowl, a paltry 130 countries.
Right.
It's big. It's big. Real
It's a big deal.
Madrid.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't know it.
And well, you know what? It's hard to watch for us because there's so much time. They just run around in circles, it seems like. But this Real Madrid, they're the team. They've got twice as many wins as any other team. They have some great guys on their team. And it was a lot of great action, a big corner kick with a header for the win or for the goal to put them ahead. And then another goal after that with this Vinicius guy. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's the top player in the league. It was just a lot of good action. The soccer fans in our area, and there are a lot of them. There's a lot of soccer guys listening. That they watched this. They enjoyed this. It was a great game and a great finish for their little league. And knowing I was working Monday, I paid attention. So Carvajal header at the 74-minute mark. Bam. It was a great win for those guys. Great game. Really a great game.
I'm sure it was awesome and it's the biggest thing. And I love that. And I just have never outside of the World Cup. I'm in on the World Cup and that's always been it for me. I tried to, what's the league they play in England, Jad? What's that one?
That's the Premier.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I was trying to think of earlier.
Yeah,
Look,
that's
I've
kind of what
tried
I
to
pay
get into
attention
the
to.
Premier League.
Yeah,
and I tried to just pick like the team with the rooster mascot, the Hotspurs, and I can't do it. And it's my fault. It's not a league. I mean, I'm sure it's incredible. I never played soccer growing up. They wouldn't let me be goalie when I was like in first grade, and I was like, well, the hell with this. I'm not playing then. I don't want to run around that much. And so my kids love soccer. I watch soccer now by proxy. I understand. Look, you go out to any of the fields on a weekend, on a Saturday, and look at all the people there. And there's no doubt in my mind that it is this popular. I cannot give you any perspective.
Premier League is just the English guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Correct,
Champions League is all of Europe. So you
all of them.
So you wind up.
So like the Premier League champion would play against the, wherever it is that Real Madrid plays. Which is
La Liga.
Which is an awesome concept, by the way. And it's why, like for baseball, I love that we have the World Baseball Classic now. Like I love taking the best players and smash them against each other. In the World Cup, we get that too.
Well,
but this is like the best pro teams. I think it's a really cool idea.
It's all the World Cup guys just on their own teams. Think of it just like the Olympics,
not their own countries.
Yeah, everybody just representing their own countries. So it was really great action, and soccer guys loved it.
We can't really replicate that, right? Like we can't. There's no other place to replicate it because what would you do? Take the Super Bowl champion and let him play the Canadian Football League champion? Like, you can't do that. Like, soccer is the only place where I can think of doing this. You could do it in basketball. You could take your NBA champion and put him up against, champions of, the Chinese leagues and all the European leagues, but it would be a no contest. It would be even worse, probably.
Well, that's
than what
why
we
I dove
see
in with the NCAA
Olympics.
basketball, because that's what it is. It's the NCAA.
Yeah,
it's
with the
it's,
conferences, it's the closest thing. I think I probably agree with that, or even NCAA football, just the NCAA. But there's nothing, you can't get it anymore. I appreciate the design of this league. I just don't consume it at all. And that's just, again, that's shame on me. It's the most popular thing in the world. I probably should, but I just don't have time. And so it's never been something that I've been able to really get into. And I know a lot of people that are super into it, and they wake up early and they go through the whole thing. And it seems like it would be a blast. It seems like to me, going in, like in Kansas City, I'd love to be a pro soccer team, both on the men's and women's side.
If I went to a game,
it's just fun to be there.
If I went to a game and they didn't have a big screen, I would probably miss everything that actually happened. I mean, you've got to be staring at the field the entire time. If you're in a big stadium drinking beer, partying with 100,000 people screaming, singing the songs, you better pay attention or you're going to miss the 4 seconds.
Well, there's not
action.
much to miss, right? Like, there's you could basically like tune out until the ball crosses midfield and then maybe kind of start, or just have,
and then turn around and go,
soccer junkie next to you.
I know,
just have the soccer junkie next to you. Just like, give me a nudge when I need to start watching. Like, I don't, you're probably going to be able to get locked in. I did a media game for the KC Current 2 years ago. I took the girls up there. We had a blast, and the game itself was fun. They put me in that media game, and I had a header, and it hurt like hell.
Can imagine.
I'm like, God, like, how does some of these people, some of these pros and the stuff they do, it's incredible. It is a beautiful game. I don't disagree with any of that. I don't consume it.
Was it an intentional header, or your head just happened to be there when the ball showed up?
I took a swing at it and immediately regretted it. I was like, that really hurt. That hurt badly. But yeah, no, I took a shot.
Maybe with
that
a
was
helmet.
my contribution, in fact.
Maybe
Exactly.
with
Give me
a
helmet.
little helmet. Yeah,
I immediately was like, I get why there's so many concussions in soccer, because that was tough. 869-1240. We'll come back. We'll tell you what's on the network today when we wrap up Sports Daily right after this.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy. We have more than 25 flavors. Come try them all for free.
Throughout the week, they play again after winning the Fayetteville Regional, a perfect 3-0 record. They'll play Friday or Saturday. They get Virginia, who's number 12, best of 3 series. And then the winner of that Charlottesville Super Regional goes on to Omaha. They don't play till later in the week. We'll have more on that. Good luck to them. Rick, thanks for being here, man. It's a fun show today.
Hey, thanks for having me do it. Appreciate it. It's fun.
We'll do it again. Tommy will be back tomorrow. For Rick, for Jad, I'm Jacob. We'll see you then.